And welcome back to yet another episode of the Weekly Edit, which is where I edit one of my images in a different editing program, or as many as I have or own, or get my hands on a weekly basis. This week, I'm going to be editing one of my images in a Luminar Neo from Skylum Software. Yeah, and I think instead of me telling you about the program, let's jump into the edit, and then maybe I can actually get my video length a little bit down, like I've been trying to do if you've been following along. So yeah, let's get into the edit. Okay, so I've got Luminar Neo open here, as you can see. The image we're going to edit is the one over here. There's some previous edits from many years ago. It was captured in 2018. Currently it's in the new, I'm in the catalog or in the thumbnail view in Luminar Neo. So with the image selected, I can just click on edit at the top here, or I can just double click on the image. So I'm just going to double click. That brings it up in full view. Oh, it doesn't take it into the edit. My bad. Before we jump into the edit then actually, so this was captured with, as you can see top right here, with a Nikon D5600, which is a crop sensor camera. Don't shoot me. It was actually a phenomenal little camera while I owned it. And with the 10 to 20 millimeter landscape, wide angle zoom lens, or more landscape orientated lens. I think full frame that would be 15 to 30 millimeter equivalent, more or less. Raw file. This was captured up a little valley plateau between Meiringen and Grindelwald in Switzerland. On a photography outing. Very beautiful area, high mountains, some glaciers, and this beautiful river flowing here. Okay, so let's click on edit. Now Luminar is it's different and similar to Lightroom. I actually have the image open in Lightroom as well. Quickly switch to that. There it is. So let's quickly jump into the develop module. So this is the original edit in Lightroom that I did back in 2018. I just wanted to pull it up here so we can actually have a little bit of a reference for the edit, like I've done in previous edits, just to give us a little bit of a guideline. So that's the before, and that's the after. And then in Lightroom, you obviously have in the develop module or panel, develop module workspace. You can work top to bottom with basics, tone curve, color mixer, etc., all the way down. So if we switch back to Luminar, now Luminar is very different in the sense that one, it has layers on the left hand side here, we can see. So that would be a bit like in Capture One, or what else has layers? On One has layers as well. And then on the right hand side, the editing stack, for the lack of a better term, in Luminar is also very, very different. A little bit more colorful, I would say. But it has a lot of AI features. It also has a lot of sort of Luminar-specific features, which we'll get to in a bit. We have the histogram top right, which is not always visible. So if it's not visible, you can go to View and Show Histogram. So there it's gone. So we can View, Show Histogram, and there we have it. One thing to note, to be aware of in Luminar, is that edits, well actually no, we'll get to that. Quickly, let's talk about the vision for the edit, like I normally do before we start one of the weekly edits. So what caught my eye, or what I was trying to convey in this landscape image, was basically obviously this river flowing, frame bottom left, going up towards the mountains, and the mountains going up into the sky. So that leads the eye through the frame, and I wanted the water to be a little bit of a blur, to a little bit of a longer exposure. So I didn't have a tripod on me. It was quite a spur moment excursion. So I went as slow as I could handle, which is 1/15 of a second, which is a bit more possible at at a wider focal length. So my idea was to convey sort of the scale of the mountains, And with the edit, I basically just want to enhance that. We can see there is a lot of, the sky is quite blown out, but the data is there, I think, to pull back. It's a 1-frame exposure. I'm not going to combine any exposures. So I'm going to bring the sky down, enhance the water a little bit, and enhance the greens here, and yeah, just enhance the overall scene. So bring out the aspects that were there, and because this is obviously a raw exposure, so it's going to be looking very flat and dull, so we're going to bring that out in the edit. Okay, so what I wanted to mention about Luminar is it obviously has a very interesting edit stack leading down the right hand side here. So layer properties, so that's for the specific layer. So if you have more layers, you can adjust the opacity, blend mode, etc. There's crop, so pretty self-explanatory. Now, and then there is some AI features like enhance AI, sky AI, etc., etc., which we'll get to in a bit. One little, I don't know if you call it a quirk, but one little thing to note in Luminar is under edit. So it keeps, this is sort of like your history panel in Lightroom. So if you click on edits, so then you have two aspects here, develop raw and noise raw. Now, any develops you make here under develop raw, that is going to, for lack of a better phrase or term, that's going to stay there. And when we go to tools, so as you add edits here, so let's just do something like enhance, which is like a 1-slider overall image enhance thing. So you pull that up, so you can see the image changing, you do it quite strong, so you can see the difference. And then, so that's before, after. Now, when you close this to move to the next one, or if you click on another, something else to do, like color adjustments, the enhance panel closes out. You know, if you want to make more adjustments to it or readjust it, when you click on it, you will see, oh, it's zeroed out. What happens is that initial adjustment is stored under edits, and there it will be. So if you go back there, you will see it, and then you can actually readjust it. So this is like almost like, so this is your history panel, and also like little, so they're like little layers essentially. And if you click on the one below, you'll see the enhance edit will disappear. So let's click on develop. Now that's the enhanced edit has gone back. So this is like going back in your history stack, and then when we click on that again, there we go, edit's reapplied, or it's reactivated. And we go back to tools, and then you can do another enhance adjustment. Open it up, oh, it's gone. But all you have to do is go back to edits, and now you will see here two enhance adjustments. And if you click on the previous one, the most recent one is deactivated. If you want to delete one or erase one, you first have to reset it. Now you'll have an option to delete it. So let's just quickly go back. So that's just one of the things to note about Luminar. Okay, so we are on the original, so we don't have to revert. Yeah, okay, so with all that stuff said, all the caveats, all the things to note, let's jump into the edit. So first things first, I am going to do the crop here, seeing as it's right at the top. So rotate it ever so slightly. I'm looking at that bridge across the river there, if you can see it, sort of just below the top there. I want that to be sort of level. And then in terms of the crop, I think it's pretty good. I might bring it in a little bit on the left here, but this is close enough for me. That mountain's on that third, that's close enough. And this is sort of running bottom left. The river is running bottom left, sort of up to the top into the mountains. So click apply. That is applied. Now I have these Luminar-specific tools. Now enhance I quite like to use actually, sort of just an initial boost, but as I say that, I'm actually lying. So we have the develop here. So what I just jump straight into edits. I go to my raw develop, and then I'm going to do some basic adjustments to the image, like if we switch back to Lightroom. Well, this is looking like quite neon at the moment. I might do a little bit of a less extreme editing today. So here is where we're going to have white balance, highlight, shadows, exposure, etc. Switching back to Luminar, you can also choose a lot of different camera specific profiles. I'm going to stick to Luminar default. Now exposure, I'm going to take up just a tad. Smart contrast, I'm going to leave alone for now. Highlights, I'm going to bring down pretty much all the way to get that sky back. Shadows, ever so slightly open up. And smart contrast, yeah, not too much, just a little bit. So if we quickly have a look at before, after, so that's brought the sky back very, very nicely. You can also activate highlight warnings here and shadow warnings. Keep them on for now. And then moving down the develop module into blacks and whites. So to get those highlights back, I'm going to take the whites down. Yeah, so I think they might be actually blown out. We'll see what we can do later, maybe with a sky specific adjustment. So I'm going to bring the whites down ever so slightly. Blacks just a tad. Deactivate those for now. Quite distracting. Curves I'm going to leave alone because we're going to add contrast or localized contrast in some other ways, or many other ways. But the curves are there if you want to use them. Color, white balance, it's a little bit cool for me. And we also have the little trick that I normally do in my edits if I'm not 100% sure about the white balance. So I take saturation up to 100%, vibrance up to 100%. And now we can see sort of the balance between yellows and blues in the image. A little bit blue. So I'm going to take the temperature up slightly to about there. Where the grass is sort of a nice balance between yellow and green, rivers, blues, water is cool, and here in the mountains, which are in shade, is also a bit cooler. Then zero out vibrance saturation, and now immediately image almost looks flat, so we have much more of a neutral white balance. Might actually warm that up ever so slightly to about there. Quite a bit actually. Yeah, let's leave it there. And then moving on to sharpness. Yeah, we can add a little bit of sharpening here. So if we zoom into 100%, the focus was more or less quite close to the frame. More or less there. So we can add a little bit of, quite close to the frame actually. Let's see if we can add quite a bit of sharpening. And this is global sharpening. So I'm going to take the mask up to, I haven't figured out how to display the mask in this module. So please correct me if you can. Then noise reduction, I'm going to leave alone. There's not a lot of noise in this image. We zoom into 100%, especially here in the shadows that we opened up. There's not a lot of noise. So, and in the trees here where we normally see it, not bothering me at all. So, see the glacier coming down there actually. So noise reduction, no. Optics, yes, that we definitely want to do. This is shot at probably I think at the widest focal length of the lens. So we click on auto distortion corrections. So that's done a little bit. What's that? Chromatic aberration, auto defringe, perfect. Yeah. And transform I might do here. So vertical, you can see the trees on the left are leaning quite a lot forward. So I might want to bring them just a bit more upright. No, wrong way. Pull them to the left, just pull them up a little bit. So that it's not as distracting. Pull it up as well. So much better. Okay, noiseless I'm going to leave alone. So that was just the initial raw develop. I'm going to jump back into tools, look at it before and after, before, after, before, after. Okay, so like I mentioned, enhance AI. I like to add a little bit of that because it just makes my life a bit easier. So I'm going to pull that slider up. So you can see it just sort of adds color, opens the shadows, brings down the highlights. That's just a nice bit of pop to the image. So I'm going to take that up to about 50. Then we're going to have a look at what it did there. Yeah, that's a lot of editing that I actually don't have to go into in a localized way. And if there is a sky, or it realizes there's a sky, it will have the sky enhancer activated as well. So we can pull that up, see what that does. So it just adds a little bit of, you can see that at the top, just adds a bit of sort of localized contrast, etc. to the sky, which I quite like. So you can see the difference there, massive. I mean, we can actually stop there if we want to, but I still have a lot of time because, as you know, I like to make my edits super long. So should we carry on? Sky AI is sort of sky replacement. I'm going to stay away from that. Noises super sharp. I'm not bothered with that because the image for me is sharp enough, noise free enough. Now, like I mentioned, but just before we started to edit, you can actually do more developing like we just did in the raw develop. The only thing it's going to do, if we just quickly overdo it there, close it out, open it up, oh, it's gone. So then you have to jump into edits, and now you'll see it added another develop adjustment on top of the raw develop which we did, and all the adjustments are there. So I'm going to zero that out, delete that. So back in tools, so develop we've done, stay away from that. Erase, I don't want to erase anything in the image. Structure, yeah, I'll just show you what that does quickly. That just sort of adds overall structure to the image. I don't want to do that. We can mask it as well. Let's just quickly see. No, I'm going to stay away from that. So color, and I definitely want to add a bit of vibrance perhaps. So it's about 10. See, just adds a bit of nice, more impact to the green here. A nice little feature in the color module of Luminar has got this remove color cast. So let's pull that up. You'll see it's sort of just, you can see the image is overall maybe a bit green still even after my white balance adjustment. So if you pull that up, see it just removes that green color cast. But then if you go too far, it starts to look a bit weird. So I'm going to pull that up just ever so slightly, about 10. Look at it before, after. Not a massive difference, but it sort of just neutralizes the color cast. And then here we can also adjust individual colors, hue, saturation, and luminance. If we switch back to Lightroom, so we've done the basic part. Tone curve, I said I'm going to skip. It would be the color mixer where we are now here. So the same but different. Perhaps, yeah, and there's also going to be a global adjustment which we can mask. Let's just see if we can do something with the water maybe quickly. So I don't want to do luminance, I want to do saturation. So that's going to probably be blues and cyans. So let's have a, yeah, you can see there. So let's take that up, overdo that to about 50. You can see the sky is also going nuclear, which we don't want. And now I'm going to go to the masking option for this specific adjustment. I am then going to go invert, so that basically hides the adjustment, and now I'm going to brush it in. So I'm going to select the brush, I'm going to paint, size I'll adjust now with my bracket key, softness 100%, strength, I'm going to take that to just like your flow perhaps in Photoshop or in Lightroom, take it up, but yeah, let's do it quite strong, let's do it at about 50%. And then left and right bracket keys and make this small for the top here. And then I'm just gonna brush that in. You can see the adjustment there. I'm just gonna brush that in, so red is where it's applied. Let's make it a bit smaller again. I'm not too worried about these little branches, you won't see the effect on them. Just right to the edge there. I'm being a little bit rough here. Might take a bit more time if I was gonna print this out at sort of massive size, but like that. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so let's look at a before, after. So let's just add a nice little bit of color to the river. Great. So details, yeah, you can do small, medium, large details as well as a bit of sharpen. Not concerned about that. Denoise, like I mentioned, not worried. Vignette I will add at the end. So let's just see in Lightroom where we are. So color mixer, we did color grading. Color harmony, dodge and burn, clones, portrait, creative. I don't think there is. There might be a split tone somewhere. Color, here we go. Color. Color balance, so shadows, midtones, highlights, etc. I'm not gonna do any of that for this image. Detail, sharpen, noise reduction, spoke about, lens correction we did, transform we did, lens blur, not gonna do in Luminar, effects, so vignette and grain. So let's do the vignette. I don't know what choose subject is. What does that do? That set the center maybe? Let's have a look on the mount. Ah, yeah, okay, so that just sets the sort of the center point of the vignette. So I take the amount down all the way just so I can see what I'm doing. The size, I want to bring it in, or maybe push it out a tad. Roundness, I want it a little bit less round, and feather it quite a bit. And the nice little sort of feature of Luminar's vignette is it's got inner light. So normally I would add the vignette and then I would actually do a radial gradient in the center of the image and brighten it up a little bit. This sort of just saves me that step or that time. You can see the center part of the vignette there getting brighter. And then, so amount I'll zero out and then I'll just bring that down. And if you look at a before, after, before, after. Very nice. And again, if that adjustment now lives here under edits. So after vignette, now Luminar, where it deviates from Lightroom on one, capture one is it has, well, on one has maybe a little bit of this, but it has got sort of landscapes specific adjustments. So you can add some sunrays, which I can show you maybe. I'm not going to do it for the image. So we have the sun coming from sort of top of frame right here. And we can go on place sun center. And then if we click maybe just over there. I think I have to first take up amount. There we go. So there we go. So take up the amount, place sun center, it'll give you a little dot. Now you can see there, ooh, there goes the sun. So I'm going to take it actually just out of frame. Maybe there. And then if we up the amount, it's really going to give it a lot of strength. Because it'll adjust the overall look, it'll adjust the lighting in the frame a little bit. Take it down because it's a bit moody, cloudy. Sun rays length is how far it comes into the frame. Take that back, you can see there it goes. Bring that out to about there, where it goes up on the trees. And penetration is how much it actually bleeds into the landscape. Take that quite a bit. And that's a before, after. So it actually adds a little bit of drama, but I mean, it's not realistic. So just thought I'd show you that quickly. So let's get rid of that. This was quite late in the day. So for twilight, meaning close to sunset, you can do some color sort of, I don't know exactly what it is, sort of color specific adjustments. So in this case, the colors in the image are more golden, or maybe emerald, sort of cool and warm. So if you choose that by default adds ridiculously strong preset. So I'm going to take the amount down all the way and then just bring that in ever so slightly. I don't know what this exposure does. So bring the amount in, see what that before, after. I'm not sure if I like that. Let's switch to golden. That might be better actually. So these are all presets. Let's take the amount down, add a little bit of that. So what this is doing for me, it's just adding an extra bit of mood and depth to the image, bit of warmth in the sky, slight tad of warmth in the shadows. So let's leave that there. Atmosphere. This is to add specific elements to the image, but we definitely don't want to do that here. And landscape specific features. So this is where you will find Dehaze. Pull that up. It's also quite a subtle Dehaze adjustment. Now, golden hour, this will add a little bit of a nice glow to the image. Sort of just enhances the image overall, which I quite like. We can also mask it out. You can see it before, after. And then foliage enhancer, which will probably affect the greens and the trees quite a bit. So let's take that up, overdo that. So here we go to the neon territory. So here it to be very subtle. So just take that up to about there, 5. That's a before, after. Great. It's got a water enhancer. I'm not going to use that, but for interest, let's see what that does. It actually does, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Does actually add a little bit to the... I see there's no option to mask because it's obviously using AI to select where the water is. So just adds a little bit extra to the water there. So let's leave that. Then you have some creative aspects like relight, magic light, blah, 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 which we're going to leave alone. portrait, if you want doing any sort of portrait editing. And then the professional section, not many tools. One thing that is, so you've got one thing that is very nice here, which I'll show you shortly, is you can do contrast, both highlights, midtones, shadows. So if we go up midtones, sort of, and it's a bit more subtle as well, but I think that starts to overdo things. So we'll leave that alone. One thing I do use here is in color harmony. You've got brilliance, warmth, etc. But that's not what I want to use. I want to use color contrast. So color contrast is actually an aspect that always used to be quite useful in Nik effects, or the Nik software suite. I think it was I can't remember, it was Dehaze or in one of the Nik plugins had like a color contrast setting or adjustment, which basically just enhances the contrast between the colors. Surprise, surprise. But it's very, very powerful. So if we take the slider up, I'll overdo it again, and then we'll do the actual adjustment. So keep an eye on maybe over here as well as here. You take that up, you just see just sort of localized contrast between the colors, but not in an overly negative way. It adds adds depth and mood to the image. So I'm going to take that up just a little bit to about 10, and then we have a look at it before, after. And then split color warmth. I'm not going to do anything there. Color balance, like I mentioned earlier, leaving that alone. And then dodge and burn. I don't think I'm going to do any dodging and burning here, just to keep time-wise, to keep things sort of in check. But you can, again, you can duplicate the layer and do it on a separate layer. But because these adjustments are essentially little layers, you can just do it here and then decrease the overall amount, like layer opacity, and go back into the edits and delete it or reset it, etc. What I did mention is I want to bring that sky down a little bit more, actually. So I am going to do that, not by duplicating a layer. I'm just going to, I'm going to use the tone curve. So would that be under develop? Yeah. So we go to curves. So now I'm looking only at the sky here. I'm going to curve in the, thank you. I'm going to do the curve, grab it in the middle here for more of an overall subtle. I'm going to pull that down, subtle adjustment, pull that down, continuously interrupting myself mid-sentence. Now if we look at a before, after, just in the sky here. And now I'm going to mask that linear gradient, and I'm going to just pull it down over here, just like that. And then go back there. So we look at before, after, before, after. Mask actions, adjustments, there we go. Perfect. And now what I'm seeing there are one or two little dust spots. So let's quickly go to erase. We will close that down, we'll zoom into 100%. And we will, so erase size, we're going to do erase. Oh, sorry about that. So back to 100%. Go to erase, size, remove power lines, remove. Oh, it's got an automated thingy. Let's click on that. Let's see what that does. Still thinking. Thinking quite a bit, actually. Come on, there can't be that many dust spots in here. There we go. Okay, well, no, I missed one. Yeah, so it basically caught one. Well, that wasn't really useful. Let's zero that out, delete. Tools, 100%. What did I say? Erase. So let's increase that quickly. Boom. Click on there. Did that do something? There we go. Okay, just needed a moment to think. Still thinking. Seems to be quite a resource intensive process. And zoom out. Zoom in. Still there. Interesting. Go back to edits. Oh, I think it's still thinking about that edit. While it's doing that, let's see if, I think in the meantime, let's look at it before, after, before, after. We go back to Lightroom quickly. No, it's not far off. I think the Lightroom, after editing, Lightroom might be a little bit too strong. And in Luminar, it's a little bit more of a subtle edit, especially with the color cast and the shadows. Go to edits overall. Why is it still thinking about that erase? So that might be something in Luminar-specific, but let's not get caught up in that. Yeah, so in terms of the color edit, I think that is going to be that. So that's before, that's after. Great. So, like always, thanks for sticking with me with the color edits. We're quickly going to do a black and white edit. If you want to stick around for that, please do. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. So, let's do the black and white edit. So with here, I am actually going to duplicate the layer. Hide layer. Okay. Show layer. Okay. So black and white. So for the black and white edit, two ways to do it. Obviously, like I normally do, or sometimes do, is you can just desaturate the whole image and then adjust contrast and things from there. Or you can, if the editing program has a black and white module, you can play around with that. Now, Luminar does have a black and white module, so let's click on that. Now all we need to do is click on convert to black and white. Perfect. Now I'm going to duplicate that layer again. Reason for that is I want to be able to adjust the, why does I want to convert to black? Okay, sorry. Go back to edits, to the black and white. So now we're playing around with the individual color channels. Really go to green. So that's just lightening the greens up a little bit. Blues I want to bring down actually. It's just going to be the sky. And magenta. See that there's not a lot of magenta. Cyan is going to be the water probably a little bit. And the mountains there. Lighten that. Yellow, going to be a bit of the trees and the foliage again. I think I'll lighten that. So you, so with saturation you actually can bring back individual colors. Definitely don't want to do that. Okay, so now that that initial black and white conversion is done, so that's the normal black and white conversion. This is with some slight color channel adjustments done. I'm going back to the tools. I'm going to go to the curves tool, which is one of my favorite ways to add strong contrast, which will be under develop, curves. So here I'm just going to do, okay, so I'm just going to do a fairly strong S curve. And I see those dust spots coming out very nicely. We'll just pretend they're not there for the sake of time. Okay, so that's just a nice bringing down those blacks. Not too concerned about the blacks going to complete black in the little pockets of the forest there, and highlight as well. These two pieces of cloud blowing out. Not too concerned about that. So that's actually looking pretty good. I don't think there's too much else I want to do there. The noise in the image is also, I think it's complementary, especially to a black and white image. And I think in terms of the black and white edit, I might increase the vignette as well, ever so slightly. Let's just add one on top of the previous one. So we'll add amount like that, and then we'll choose subject. middle of the frame. Take it out ever so slightly. Have a look at that. Perfect. Okay. So, I think let's leave it there. It's pretty good black and white, I think. Awesome. So, thanks again for sticking with me. Quite a long one again, I see. Or, not quite a long one. Pretty stock standard by now. So that's Luminar Neo. If you have any questions or suggestions, please drop them in the comments below. Or if there's anything specific that you would like to see me demonstrate or tackle or explain, let me know as well. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next edit. Have a good one.